Hello everybody, and welcome to TTV, episode 103, the special E3 2014 coverage episode. Now today, we are joined by two guests, one returning, and one for the very first time, here to talk about E3, all the game reveals that happened, the conferences in general, and the general happenings of the last 2 days, one of which is MT. So, welcome back, MT Zevor, to the channel.
Thanks, man. It's so great to be back.
You were here last year.
No Metroid, but
yeah,
it's still good.
We'll muddle through. And next up,
We'll get through somehow.
Next up is our good friend, fellow Dota player, and BZPower.com staff member Takuma Nuva. So welcome to the show today.
What makes you think we're good friends?
I don't know. Because we play Dota and we laugh and we have fun.
Oh, jeez, wow.
I just got burned.
Ouch.
Shots are already flying.
Takuma Nuva living a devastating kick.
This is gonna
to
be
Messer's ego.
This is gonna be fun.
Oh, that was just a knee jerk.
But no, this is gonna be a fun show. Basically, we're gonna run through every conference and we're gonna talk about the stuff that happened. Probably not in excruciating detail, because a lot of it didn't pique our interests, but, you know, we'll skim. And it's going to be fun. So without further ado, I am Messanek.
I am LJ.
I'm MT.
I'm Kahi.
And I'm Evil Blonde
And-
Master Takuma Nuva.
That's
Oh, well.
Takuma, I think.
Great start.
We think. We're not sure.
that was
Can I start
just
by
about
saying-
as good as Sony's conference. So.
Haha.
Hey, I did better than
Ah.
that.
Yep. All right.
Can
So
I just start by saying how disappointed I am that the awesome intro music apparently shows up in post?
What do you mean?
What?
He's talking about the intro theme.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, once upon a time, we did
All I
actually
got was
play...
a dumb countdown.
Once upon a time, we do play the music. We did play the music in call, but it was spotty at best. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So we just, started editing it in.
You all suck.
I'm
What
sorry.
did I do agree to?
We do what we can.
That's the only reason he joined, is to hear the music live.
Yeah. He doesn't care about
Well,
us.
that and to fire shots at Meso.
Haha.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Everyone does that.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay, so without further ado, we will start with the very first conference that happened on June 9th. Microsoft. And boy, they had a lot to live up to this year. Because last year's E3 was clouded
Oh, jeez.
by all the negativity and the nonsense that they themselves inflicted upon them. And any chance they had
Spartan
at
assault,
salvaging
guys.
any chance they had at salvaging a good E3 last year was ruined when Sony basically curb stomped them into another world with an epic beatdown of epic proportions.
Oh, man. I
The
thought
likes,
they were
of
taking
which,
notes.
the likes of which have never been seen before in gaming. And now this year, they're trying to bounce back and, do better. For the most part, I think they succeeded. Let's get into why. And what better way to get into it than Call of Duty? Right, guys?
Wait, stop! Don't
That's
comment! Don't do it! Stop commenting! No, stop! Okay, no, stop.
Call
Calm
of
down,
Duty
LJ.
Advanced
Okay.
Warfare. The newest game in the Call of Duty series, notable for being developed by a completely new development team, Sledgehammer Games, have entered the fray in the COD cycle, hoping to bring something fresh and unique to the formula. And it was certainly a departure. It looked like the standard gameplay, first-person shooter, blah, 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 but there were a notable amount of new tweaks and things because it's a very futuristic setting. And one of my favorite
Yeah,
things...
now you don't have to.
Go on.
Go ahead.
Go on.
I was just gonna say that now you don't have to download hacks in order to get like map hacks and heat-seeking grenades.
Yeah. My favorite thing, hands down, was when the guy used his exosuit's super strength to rip a door off a car and use it as a makeshift riot shield. That appealed to me. Something
right.
in that action spoke to me as a person.
I think I know why. Go on.
Maybe
go ahead.
this is a minor complaint, but car doors actually don't make very good riot shields.
I completely know that.
These
Okay.
are cars from the future,
Future cars.
That is
They're
very
made out
true.
of-
They probably
which
aren't.
means
made out
They
of
probably
that.
aren't
Very-
intended.
They
to-
do
go
make.
friendly.
I think they do make good boxing gloves. If you've ever seen the Hulk,
Yes.
those doors, man.
Some brass knuckles.
Okay.
And then there were like grenades where you cook a grenade, and while you're holding it, you can change what kind of grenade it is. I don't really know how that works, but there's like a bunch of different types, and he was scrolling through them, and then he ended up throwing some homing grenades, which slowly.
Oh, man, it's advanced warfare. That's how advanced it is.
Yeah.
You don't even know what type of grenade you're holding until you throw it.
Zombies has mystery boxes. We now have mystery grenades. Nobody knows what we'll throw. We could throw one, confetti will explode out of it. But no, it looked cool to a degree. Graphically, it was impressive. It was notably the gameplay. I don't know if this was intentional or not. It was very slow. I don't think that was really the best course of action. It was very slow paced. I'm not sure if anybody really noticed that. They were just kind of walking around, not sprinting, just slowly walking around, shooting stuff and throwing slow grenades. And I don't know.
Pretty much
I liked it. What do you
pretty much
guys
the
think?
entirety of my experience with Call of Duty since the original Modern Warfare is zombies, so I can't say I noticed, but
Yeah. What did you guys think of Call of Duty Advanced Warfare? Good,
don't
bad.
care.
Good, bad, indifferent.
Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey is the best thing about this. I like to imagine it takes place after the end of House of Cards. Like he becomes, never mind, no spoilers. But after the end of House of Cards, Kevin Spacey is this political figure who's doing some really mass genocidal stuff, and there was nowhere else for COD to go. You could realistically only add so many more guns and go through all the wars in human history before they had to do something new. So
They didn't go over
it's
the
kind of
cap.
continuation of
Who did Space
Black
Warfare?
Ops 2 was kind of feature-esque, right?
Yeah. This is like the next evolution of that.
So after Black Ops 2, this is where I'm indifferent.
I'm all for
It's
positive
not.
stuff.
A lot of people are saying, "Oh, they're ripping off Halo." They're not really.
No.
They're doing a different approach to it.
Well,
but
to be fair, the Promethean vision was pretty much straight ripped off from Halo 4.
Yeah.
right,
No,
fair
I
enough.
disagree.
But I think
I
Promethean
disagree.
Vision was kind of ripped off. Just ripped off normal X-ray specs in general.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, Promethean vision was ripped off from Metroid Prime in the first place.
Yeah,
so
I was
it's a
about
rip-off
to
of a
say
rip-off, but-
Promethean Vision ripped off X-ray scope.
or it's more thermal visor, but whatever.
Yeah. LJ,
Anyway, next game.
what did you think of Advanced Warfare?
Never mind.
I am
next game.
110% uninterested. I watched through most of the gameplay you linked me and then completely gave up because I did a little bit of research. I play COD mostly for the weaponry. I love the weaponry in it. Found out none of the weaponry in Modern Warfare, Advanced Warfare, none of it is centered in the real world. It's all new weapons. It's inspired by real world weapons, but it's completely made up guns. And then it's like, you lost to me. It looked good, not interested at all. I also know why you're very excited for the car door ripping thing.
Why?
You have an affinity for riot shields in Call of Duty and kicking people with cars in Crisis. You combine
Correct.
those two things, and I know exactly why you like them.
Correct. There's a lot of reasons why me as a person that enjoys Crisis was happy with today's conference. I mean, like Microsoft's conference, but we'll get to that later. But that was definitely one of them. It's
Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, COD. It's good, but doesn't interest me.
All right.
All right,
I'm still waiting for
anyways.
Call of Duty Regressed Warfare.
Yes,
Next
it'll be like
game.
Hunger Games with bows. Anyway,
Yeah, where do you go from that? What's the next step? Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Where do you go past that? Call of Duty
Space
Aliens.
warfare.
Future
Oh, wait.
Warfare.
They already went to
Space.
Call
the
of Duty.
Space.
They already did.
Call of Duty chess.
Chess.
Space.
Chess.
Call of Duty chess.
You're in the command
The
of
Art
now.
of War.
They're
Yeah.
all so old they can't do anything anymore but sit around and play chess
Yep.
while
All right.
slamming
Maybe
Monster Energy
maybe
drinks.
we're so burned out on multiplayer games.
Next game
All right.
I'll just skim over is Forza Horizon 2. Big deal for a lot of people because apparently it's an open world Forza. I'm not entirely sure. I know like next to nothing about it, but open world
Zoom.
games are good. Forza's good. It looked okay. Just doesn't interest me. I doubt it does to anyone here. Am I wrong? Someone prove me wrong.
Eh.
Let me ask you something. Forza, when it says open world, are you a person in the world, or can you just jump from car to car in an open world environment?
I
Who
don't
cares?
know. I really don't know.
I don't care.
Forza's never struck me as interesting because they're like you have obvious car franchises like Need for Speed, or not Need. Yeah, is it Need for Speed?
Mhm.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So I forgot about it because it was the movie. I was like, am I thinking of Fast and Furious or not? No. So Need for Speed, obviously, it's the chases between you and the cops. That's what makes the open world exciting and new and like willing for you to drive around it. With Forza, it's based more on racing, which would be okay, except that you can only race so many places in an open world environment.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. It's only going to go so far. I can't imagine being at all enthralled by the game. Better have just stellar graphics.
Quite. And then they announced they did announce it. It was later at the Ubisoft conference, but Assassin's Creed Unity. They ran a neat gameplay trailer, and for the first time ever in the series, 4-player co-op play. That was the big draw that it had for a lot of people. Now, Kahi, you played Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I think you played other games in the series. I'm sure everybody here
I
has
have
at some point
played
besides LJ and I.
so much Assassin's.
What did you guys think? Does this impress you? Is it just more of the same? What is your deal?
I will say that what
could
stuck
possibly-
out to me the most is how little actual assassinating went on in the trailer.
Yeah, they like murdered people in front of a bunch of witnesses and just
Just
stood
murdered
there.
people in front of thousands of people, and
Yeah.
which I mean, I guess to be fair, we haven't really been actually stealthy at all since Assassin's Creed 3, but
But birds.
The one game since. I enjoyed the trailer I enjoyed because it featured possibly one of my favorite songs in
Yeah.
the world, which is Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And it was the cover recently done by Lord for Catching Fire. And it wasn't featured in Catching Fire at all. It was criminally underused. But it was used for this, and it worked so well because, you know, the French Revolution is taking place, and you have Assassin's Creeds, set in this time period, 4 different people. It's going to be interesting. I don't know if it'll be that innovative because Black Flag really did do something new for the franchise. I felt like it was a refresher after playing in basically European places for so long. 3 had a nice change, a nice departure. And I liked 3 for that aspect. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I liked it. But when it got to 4 had, it took what it had and it ran with it. You are now sailing the Caribbean. It had a lot of different architecture, different mechanics. Felt like a totally different game. I felt like it justified itself being there. Now we're going back to European villas and European places. And like the big deal is you have 4 people. Not a bad thing. All my friends will have playing the game, so I'm sure we will have fun playing it together. But I think it's a bit of a step back from Black Flag. I can see why they couldn't do Black Flag multiplayer co-op, but it just seems like they're going back to like European places, which we've already seen 3 or 4, basically 3 whole games set in.
Yeah. Very right. Anybody else have anything to say?
It's more co-op shoved into what should be a single player game.
Shots fired.
It's Melee Call of Duty. You know, just another one in the series. However, it does help round out the trifecta. Assassin's
Yes.
Creed Unity, Call of Duty, and Destiny.
Quite true.
Wow.
DD. All right.
I didn't even notice that.
Yep.
Well
Crazy.
played.
Anyway,
So the next game was very interesting, and it's probably one of the most unique things that they showed at the Microsoft press conference. And it was basically, they started out and it's like they're parodying military shooters, and there's a Marine who's like going around in a building, and people are coming at him from all sides. Suddenly the door breaks down, and this really weird looking guy with a really odd orange haircut comes in and starts killing everybody. And then come to find out, it's Sunset Overdrive, and they announced the game last year, and it looked just as weird then as it does now. Very unique graphical style, crazy circumstances, like some kind of energy drink has turned everybody into mutants or something. It's very odd. And the guy is basically jumping from rail to rail, sliding along, like, say, Infamous, or Sonic the Hedgehog, even grinding on rails, going crazy loop-de-loops, maximum speed, jumping from place to place, shooting at everybody. It looked very fun and will apparently feature 8-player co-op, but at the same time, that kind of game does not appeal to everybody. The very cartoonish, zany, over-the-top thing. It reminded me a lot of, say, Borderlands in the art direction and tone. But it's an Xbox One exclusive. It's one of their biggest things. New IP. Blah, blah, blah. What did you guys think? Any comments about it?
You know, I didn't mind the art style so much. It's just the gameplay looked so arcadey. Like,
It
it's
was
the
pretty
sort of
arcadey.
thing you'd go to a movie theater and see in one of those big cabinets and just look at it and go,
Yeah.
I mean, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. That's definitely for sure, but it looked fun. And I guess that's really all you can ask for from a game, am I right?
No.
look, yeah, it looked fun, but I feel that it could easily annoy me very quickly if I played it for prolonged sessions.
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
Basically
Borderlands
5 minutes.
2, if it was just hyped up like crazy.
Yeah. Quite true. Let's see. The next game. Okay. This one was hilarious. This one really got to me. Because I'm familiar a lot with Capcom and their dealings when it comes to stuff. They announced a DLC for Dead Rising 3 that features a bunch of Capcom costumes and UI stuff, blah blah blah. And the name of the
That's
DLC
hype, man.
is Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha. And they're making fun of
And
themselves.
moving on.
They're to a crazy degree because of all their Street Fighter shenanigans. And it was hilarious. And at the same time, they were like, it's available now! Right this minute! Get it! And we're like, like I was left speechless when they announced it. I was like, what did I just see? But I'm all for self-aware humor, and it's one of the reasons I love the Nintendo's conference so much. So
No
hey,
Phoenix Wright costume?
possibly. I don't really know. They had
Maybe.
everybody.
Oh.
I saw like a Lego
Oh, okay.
minifigure head.
Oh,
That's
hopefully
Sir
no Maya
Bothead.
costume.
Lol.
It'd be horrible if there were a Maya costume in there.
That's what makes
Hey.
that's a Sir Bothead. It's not Lego.
Okay, fine. It's
I'm
not
sorry.
Lego.
But your dream is a
Oh,
lie.
hey, were you saying something?
Not really.
Okay.
I was going to say that the Maya costume, considering the game we're talking about, might not have the best connotations. But
Right.
hey,
Yep. Let's see.
Just
Fate.
so long as it a Maya costume would be fine, a Mia costume would begin drifting into dangerous territory.
So, moving on.
or a Mia and Pearl's costume because
Moving
that
on!
was-
Moving on.
So Fable Legends. New game in the Fable series. I'll be honest, I know nothing about Fable. I know nothing about this game. I kind of zoned out when they were presenting it. But apparently, Apparently, it has 4-player co-op, and players can take on a player-controlled dungeon master, aka the villain, and the heroes work through traps in the game, trying to beat everything like, a regular game, but the villain player is responsible for spawning enemies and creating traps and basically masterminding the game to stop them. And I'm not sure if it's only multiplayer or what, but a beta is expected in 2014 for those that care to play it. It seems interesting, but being as I have no interest in the franchise, not really much interest in the game. And speaking of something that looks interesting, but I do not personally have much interest in, Project Spark is back, and everyone raves about this thing.
Also known as Not Conquer.
Yeah. So basically, they ran another trailer for Project Spark, and everyone raves about this thing. And I can understand why. Make your own. I'm not sure if it's make your own games or make your own maps or what is it. All I know is it's, user created content kind of thing. And apparently, an old Microsoft character named Conquer is coming back for it. And I never heard of this person before.
It's a Rareware character,
So-
not Microsoft.
Rare? Okay. What is Conquer? Tell me.
Okay,
It's a squirrel.
so
A squirrel with a
Conquer's
chainsaw.
bad for a
Who has
day.
a bad fur day,
Yeah,
and it was a
it's
kid.
Conquer's. It's basically the most It's like kiddie style graphics. It's almost like Family Guy in that it's kiddie style graphics, but it's incredibly obscene.
Okay.
Basically, it's back in the day where everybody was doing the kind of Banjo-Kazooie, Crash Bandicoot kind of platformer collector game, and they did it, and they did it with a very mature rating. Like they took, it was rated M, and like they did all the stuff, and the guy, they had all these gags, the mature gags, and they tried to go as blatantly obscene as they could possibly go to make fun of that. And Conquer has not been seen for a long while.
Well, he's back, and I guess like some people are mad that he's back in Project Spark. Some people are glad he's back at all, and some people are like maybe they're using this as a way to test interest to see if there's any interest for a new Conquer game. My thoughts are bringing back old IPs and characters are never a bad thing, especially in these trying times. And some certain companies could take a lesson from that or two. Cough, cough. Nintendo, anyway. So that was.
Yeah, they need to bring back Wii Music. That's what they need to bring back.
Exactly. Wii
It's
Music.
never a bad idea.
Yep. So that was that. Then they ran a trailer for Ori and the Blind Forest, which is a game that it looked very artistic, and that's like a running theme throughout the day of E3 is there's a lot of these games that have this interesting art style to them, and they're probably like, I wouldn't say indie games per se, but not AAA titles, kind of like Limbo per se, that kind of thing. Although that game in particular, Ori and the Blind Forest, almost looked like a Studio Ghibli art style to a degree and influence, I thought.
Yes.
So
it did, and it looked fantastic.
they ran a very short trailer for it, but it certainly did look interesting. So
It is like a Limbo-esque game, but something about the art style really stood out. I know there's a lot of games like this. They're doing hand-drawn animation again, but something about this looked really smooth and crisp and clean, and I'm interested in seeing where it goes.
yeah. And now, by far, what the heck was that?
What?
That was somebody beating somebody else over the head with a frying pan.
Okay. So, by far, the biggest bomb that was dropped during this conference. Hands down, no holds barred. This was it. And it's kind of sad in that respect because this was leaked months ago. Or I guess maybe not months ago. I forget when it was leaked. It was either April or May. And they ran a trailer and it was Master Chief and you were like, oh, look, Halo. And then you realized, wait a second, this is a cinematic from Halo 2. So it's pretty obvious it's Halo 2 Anniversary. And it was the famous scene where Master Chief's, he's sending the bomb that the Covenant put on the spaceship out back at the Covenant ship. And he's flying around in space with the bomb, and he kicks it into their ship.
He is setting us up the bomb.
Pretty much, exactly. But then there was a voiceover by Keith David, a.k.a. the Arbiter. And you instantly knew there was something up with that. And then all throughout the clip, there were flashes where it would cut out to reveal the person that's on the Halo 5 quote-unquote box art. So you knew there was more to meet the eye here than Halo 2 Anniversary. And the Arbiter was basically saying how if we want to find Master Chief, we have to remember the story. We have to forget the stories and forget everything and then go back from the start to trace his movements or whatever, because blah, 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 he made a big impact. And then eventually it ends and it's this person who Arbiter calls Agent Locke. And he's looking at a bunch of footage of Master Chief in a room, and it's everywhere. There's footage from Halo 3, Halo 1, Halo 5, Halo 4, and he turns around and he walks to a window, and the Arbiter's standing there right beside him, and you can see him reflected in the guy's visor, and he's like, blah, blah, Master Chief, he's cool. His past shaped our future, will shape our future, or whatever. And boom. Halo, the Master Chief Collection was revealed. And here's basically what this is. It's Halo CE Anniversary, Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, Halo 4, all their campaigns running in 1080p 60 frames per second, all their original multiplayers, every map ever released for any of those 4 games, DLC, PC exclusive and otherwise, access to the Halo 5 beta, Halo Nightfall, the episodic series, all of that running for $60, aka one of the greatest deals ever in video game history. Coming 2014, November 11th, 2014. So that was a pretty big deal, and they proceeded to demo Halo 2, and then they ran another trailer for the Halo 5 multiplayer beta. And that was that. What do you guys think about this?
It's a good deal.
Thank you.
I'd buy it if I had an Xbox One.
We have to forget everything so we can remember it.
Yeah. That was pretty. I didn't really know what was.
But I was like, all right, you have to forget, Rock. All right, we're gonna forget all the games that came before. I thought it was like a message from Theater 3. I mean, forget Bungie, please forget.
No. They're not saying.
But now
forget
remember.
Bungie. No. They're saying forget what we did to the Halo Reach multiplayer.
LOL or Halo 4.
Oh.
Yeah, or Halo 4. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a great deal. Definitely going to be a system seller for a lot of people. Probably not for me because, well, I'm still not very high up on the idea of paying nearly $500,000 for keep in mind, $500,000 for a console that I may not get a lot of usage out of in the future.
You'll get plenty of usage.
Yeah, I'm just wondering when Microsoft is gonna stop being so stuck up and actually release these games on PC, because they would make money.
Never.
Well, I think there's something to be said
There's
for
rumors
making.
that they're all ready.
There is something to be said for making hardware and then selling it. You know?
Yeah, if they release this on PC, no one's got any reason to buy Xbox One at all.
Yeah. It's like, if they're going to release
That
games
can
on
only mean
PC,
good
why
things in my book.
not make consoles? Why make consoles? There's no reason. So, like, I don't...
Because there's still this myth that consoles are cheaper?
Well, it's not really a myth.
Well, it's not that much of a myth.
It's like I could pay...
In some
pay
respects,
$400
varies
for an
in
Xbox One, pay like $1,000 for like a high.
Okay, all right, that's great. Let's move on.
Yes. So that's Halo, and I personally, I speak for me, and I speak for everybody else here that could not unfortunately be with us today. That this is a big deal for me, and I'll probably get an Xbox One for this because I love those games, Halo 2's not even able to be played anymore, so that's a pretty big deal that it's archived forever, hopefully. And now they basically ran a giant string of indie games that I'm not even going to mention because I don't have their titles. The only titles I have one for, they had like Mighty Number 9, there was one called Threes, there was one called Cuphead, there was one called Inside.
Threes?
Just a bunch
Really?
of threes. There was a bunch of weird stuff, and it was a giant montage.
Okay. Yeah. Threes is an iOS game that I'm currently addicted to.
Wait, really?
You guys should try it for yourselves. Yeah.
And this is why we should move on. No.
Yeah, threes. Okay. And
Threes.
then
And of course, Mighty Number 9.
another bomb that was dropped after the indie montage, Rise of the Tomb Raider. The next entry in the Tomb Raider reboot series basically will probably start her adventure into becoming an actual Tomb Raider. You know,
So,
Actually,
Uncharted
just
3.5.
rating.
pretty much. It looked pretty much how you'd expect. CG, no gameplay. No release date. Fun stuff. Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt, they did a demo of. That was interesting. Looks like a fun game. Then another Xbox exclusive franchise which is being brought back, and I know nothing about it. I still have not bothered to learn anything about it. Phantom Dust. It is getting a remake. It is not a new entry. It's a reimagining of the Phantom Dust game. Reworking, kind of like a reboot. And of note in the trailer, a Halo Wars billboard. What could that mean? Nobody knows. And then Platinum Games announces an exclusive Xbox One title called Scalebound, which had a nice CG trailer and it looked real interesting. It was basically some guy or girl, I don't really know, fighting giant monsters and taking their armor or something. You know, Platinum Games is good indie game they make. Didn't they make Vanquish and like other stuff?
No,
I
that
made
was
Vanquish.
Ninja Theory, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Platinum made Metal Gear Rising, Wonderful 101.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
They were the team behind Okami as well, but they called themselves Clover Studios then.
Interesting. And yeah, I just looked it up. They did make Vanquish. So basically,
okay.
every
Never mind then.
every game they've made, people have liked. It's not like they are not a good studio. So that game will probably be good. And then, loud typing is loud. And then finally, the last game they talked about is another Xbox exclusive franchise being brought back, Crackdown. And I don't know much about Crackdown other than it's open world, and people seem to like it. I never played it, but it was I'll be honest, overblown CGI trailer, and I wish they'd showed gameplay, and that's a recurring theme for all of E3. But it looked interesting, and it's coming back. So that was the Microsoft press conference. Of note, not a word was breathed about TV. Barely a word was mentioned about Kinect. They've effectively dropped that like a rock, as well they should. It was pretty much all games heavy. Even if some of them were not really interesting people, some were CGI. I wish they had shown more gameplay. A lot were indie games, not really AAA titles, I'll be honest. And the fact that the biggest event of the conference was a remake of old games may not appeal to a lot of people, but I enjoyed it and I think they did well, all things considered, especially after last year. What are you guys' thoughts? And then we'll move on to the next conference.
I thought it was a lot better than last year's. I don't think it was good, but it was an
That's
improvement.
not hard to do.
Yeah, well, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Moral victories.
On an A to F scale, how would you grade it?
C minus, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe D plus.
I'll be generous.
Give it a C flat.
I'll be generous and give it a C too, yeah.
Purple.
Kai?
I think that they earn, because of the collection. Originally, when Microsoft started the conference, I did not want an Xbox One. I had no intention of buying an Xbox One. I was going to go PS4 all the way. After the conference, I was like, I need to buy an Xbox One. So in that regards, they did their job.
Yeah.
The whole job this time was to get people who were like iffy on the Xbox One and bring them back around.
Yeah.
And they have done that. So for that, I will give them a B because that conference did what they meant to do.
I guess that's
Honestly,
true.
like,
Me
I
giving
would
them a
have
C
never
is
thought
like
about
being
buying an
super
Xbox
super
One
critical, like subjectively.
Well,
Yeah, I was pretty hyped about it, and I walked away feeling good. But I'm just being super
I mean,
critical.
I think it's that's not entirely fair because they got a certain crowd interested in it. It's not just if they can get some people, it's how many people they can get to buy an Xbox One. And I don't think a repackaging of old Halo titles is going to convince that many people who weren't in the Xbox camp already to then go buy an Xbox One instead of a PS4
You'd be
or
surprised.
a Wii U.
Halo's reach is massive.
No, yeah. I think I honestly know a bunch of people who, we've played games that we've enjoyed Halo, but this next generation, we were all thinking, you know what? We've had Xboxes for this amount of time. We should go get PS4s because honestly, nothing about Halo really excites us anymore. The Halo 4 was okay, it wasn't enough it was not enough to keep me on a console. Sony has a lot of stuff. And for this announcement to change, not only me, but a lot of other people over.
Good games, people actually
That's
like
more
to
than
play.
It's more than what any other company did, I feel.
Yeah.
I'll disagree with
Now
that.
the presentation might have been different. The presentation might have been, okay, but it changed people's minds about the games they were going to buy, about the consoles they're going to buy.
I don't think it changed that many people's minds, but I guess the sales data will tell us eventually.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
I'll
see.
leave it at that. And I will
Okay.
remind you when I'm right.
Shots fired.
Shots
on.
fired. It is on. TTV fans, mark this down.
It's on like Donkey Kong. And speaking of
Alright,
Donkey
so
Kong,
I'll-
and speaking
once it
of
comes
Donkey
out,
Kong,
see how much sales of Xbox One come out.
and speaking
we'll
of
do this.
Donkey Kong, the next conference we're gonna jump forward a full 24 hours because of timetables and also personal interests. Because I'll be honest, Microsoft and Nintendo were my most hyped for conferences, and MT will probably have to go soon, so we're gonna get Nintendo out of the way. Now, Nintendo did not have a conference presence at E3 this year. They ran one of their Nintendo Direct broadcasts. And I'll be honest, a big thing for me this E3, I've been judging the press conferences in two categories, one of which the actual announcements, and two, the conference itself. And Microsoft did a pretty good job on both. That's why they get an all-around ranking. Some did worse than others in some aspects. Nintendo's conference was great. It had pretty much everything I could want. It had humor. Those skits were hilarious and self-referential and mocking.
Yeah.
The Iwata versus Reggie fight was golden. So, and just on that regard
Yeah.
alone, they get an A. But as far as the announcements, that's a bit more of a tricky matter.
The thing for the jokes for me is I kind of always assumed until this E3 that Nintendo just had no idea what they were doing.
Me too.
And they didn't tick off fans out of, any sort of intentionalist. They just thought that everyone loved Mario and no one really wanted Star Fox or Mother or whatever. But now that they've done this, I can't decide if that lessens or worsens the blow.
Interesting
Because
perspective.
it's funny, but at the same time, it's like, haha, we know we're doing this.
I guess that's true. But I guess I don't think there's any malice behind it. I think it's like based on.
I mean, there's not malice, but it's like it's
they
intentional.
play it almost too safe with their franchise.
Yeah.
Like Microsoft did their quick saving throw, and that's Master Chief Collection because they're like, we need to get Xbox One sales up as quick as possible. Master Chief, and it's the only one they have. They're kind of screwed.
Nintendo doesn't.
Master Chief does not turn sales around. Right. Nintendo does this every year. Every year we're like, are we gonna bring this back? Are we gonna bring it back?
Mario.
And then when they do bring it back, we're like, yeah, we just finally got it back. Yeah, totally. Mario is the go-to because they can just like crap out Mario games, like like printing money basically.
Yeah.
But the franchises that they've kind of kept back and they're waiting for people to get so hungry for them. By the time they do release them, it basically has an outpour of fans going towards that game, which is smart and also stupid because of the way they're doing it. Some franchises have been kept in storage for decades.
Yep. That's
And,
like what Nintendo
yeah,
does, and we'll get into this a bit later. Nintendo has such a wealth of things to draw from, and they tend to stick to a certain pool of stuff. And I would say stick to what's working, but Nintendo's sales data, their sales are like sinking faster than the Titanic. They're bleeding money at a rapid pace, so I'm not really sure if it's working or not. I don't really know why.
Well, Mario Kart's turned things around, sort of.
Correct. Mario Kart is doing very well. And I was a bit shocked they didn't announce any like Mario Kart DLC or anything at this conference.
It's
but
too early.
Yeah, it is, but it would have been nice to see something. Instead, we got Smash Brothers, actually a total of 4 character reveals. Mii Fighters, which comprises of 3 different character types from Miis. You can play as, your own Miis. There was like a sword Mii, a strength, like hand-to-hand combat Mii, and then a ranged Mii that had Samus's arm cannon or some variation thereof, which is neat.
Right.
Then they had Lady Palutena from Kid Icarus.
And you can also... There we go.
And they announced her with this really odd anime-style segment where, like, Pit was fighting Link, and then Palutena comes in, and I'm not really sure why that was anime. It was really weird.
I have no idea.
And then after
I
the
thought they were actually announcing the anime.
Yeah, that would have been great.
Like they're like, this is the new thing. They're like Smash Brothers, the anime. That's why we don't have cutscenes in Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic.
We're doing an anime thing now.
Maybe
I would have been like, yeah, freaking, yeah.
And then after the conference, it's really odd that they didn't announce this in the conference. Pac-Man and Game & Watch confirmed back as well.
Actually, Game & Watch isn't confirmed, at least not according to the Smash website. He just showed up in the trailer.
Okay, well, why would he show up in the trailer?
I don't know,
Yeah,
but he hasn't showed up on the website.
He's not an assistant trophy or anything, mind you. Game & Watch is a character that specifically appears at the end, like in a rendered cutscene. So,
yeah,
evidence kind of like leads towards the fact that he'll be in there. It's not like he was in the background because he could very well be an assist trophy, but they specifically rendered him on the cover.
It is odd that he's not on the website though.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he isn't going to be in there, just that he hasn't officially been announced yet. It's like a teaser trailer, sort of.
Yeah, and it is really odd they stuck him in there. Pac-Man, but
yeah,
whatever. And then
the
next announcement that, if I remember correctly, this was announcement number 2. It was, remember Yarn Yoshi, the game from years ago? Not years ago. It was maybe last year. I forget when. And it was
Kirby's
it was the
Yarn?
same kind of thing as Kirby's Epic Yarn. It was like Yarn Yoshi. Well, it's coming back. It's been rebranded as Yoshi's Woolly World. And it looks very interesting. It's got a very unique art
I completely forgot about Yarn Yoshi until you just mentioned that.
You forgot?
I completely forgot that was ever a thing.
Yeah,
you just reminded me. I thought you were talking about Kirby's Epic Yarn. I'm like, no, that was a couple years back.
Yeah,
I completely forgot about that. Huh.
Yeah. So it's coming back as Yoshi's Woolly World, and he can do all sorts of crazy stuff. There's apparently a co-op element, and it looks pretty great. Yoshi game's always good. It has a much better art style than the one they recently released for 3DS, which looked pretty terrible, to put it mildly. But it's whatever. It's Yoshi. Yoshi games are fun. Now, one thing which I forgot to mention that was a pretty big deal in the Smash presentation is Nintendo is getting into the Skylanders Disney Infinity kind of deal with Amiibo, which is a weird name if I've ever heard one.
Is this supposed to be like Amoeba, maybe? With both of me added into it?
I don't know. It's very weird, but basically you buy these figures and you can put them down on the Wii U gamepad, and there's like a chip in them that can send and receive data, and you can use it in Smash Brothers and other games to do stuff and basically cheat. Like if you're losing in a fight, you put down an Amiibo figure, and an Amiibo character will pop into your game like an AI to help you. So I'm not sure about it in that aspect, but yeah, that's one thing. It's basically a cash grab. Let's be honest. Nintendo's supposed to be the people that innovate, and they're just like directly ripping stuff. But I'm not going to fault them for it because they need to do whatever they can to make money.
I mean, they are partnering with the Skylander team, so it's not like they're ripping it off
really?
on Disney Infinity.
I did not know this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
You know, I could have sworn this sort of thing was done long before Skylanders even, but I can't remember what it was.
Quite possible.
HyperCard, right? It wasn't a HyperCard? Like, they had the cards, and then like you'd swipe it in the console, and then they'd be on screen.
No,
and do stuff.
It was still like actual figurines or whatever.
Electric toys.
Yeah, like I doubt Skylanders was the first. It's just like the most commonly recognized nowadays. I'm sure the idea's been around before. So that's interesting.
Well, if nothing else, you'll get that bike figure.
Yeah, exactly. The figures look
Smash
cool.
Bros.
I'll buy some of them.
Just, you don't even have a Wii U and we'll just buy some of them.
Yeah, pretty much. I'd like, depending on how much they cost, I'll get the Samus figure. It looks cool for display.
Okay. Let's do it. Support Metroid.
Exactly. Now, the next game was really, really weird, but really, really cool at the same time, in a sense. Now, it was very odd because this year, aside from like Mario Maker, which we'll talk about later, there was actually no Mario game announced for the Wii U, but what was announced instead is 2 games with Mario characters from that universe in them. And one was Yoshi's Woolly World. The next one, if you can believe it, Toad the game. Actually called Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. And it is basically
all we need now is a Shy Guy game.
Yeah, pretty much. It's basically a rip from Super Mario 3D World. For those that have played it, there are levels where you play as Captain Toad, and you walk around this thing, and it's like 3D, and you can't jump, and it's a puzzle solver where you have to get past obstacles and do all sorts of crazy stuff to get a star at the end. And I guess people really liked those levels because they're making them into a game, and it's not like eShop or something. It's a full retail game. So, all aboard the obscure Mario character game year. Yoshi and Toad.
I would like to see a Bowser game. I
Yeah,
feel like
he
that's
has one.
something
Bowser's
we could
Inside
play.
Story.
Well, you know, how great of a game was that?
Pretty great. So, he needs a...
I didn't play the levels in 3D World, but I was viewing the Treehouse stream, which happened like all day. It's actually pretty great. But I was viewing the Treehouse stream, and they went over this, and it looks pretty good, pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't see it as a retail game, to be honest. It's more of a downloadable title. But, you know...
Yeah, I would agree with that.
As long as I don't think it will be a fully priced retail game. I'm pretty sure they'll sell it for like $25, you know, that kind of deal. So, nice. You know, for what that's worth, it's a good thing for kids. You'll keep, you know, if you're babysitting your siblings, just put it on and walk away.
How demeaning. It's probably a really challenging and difficult puzzle game. You sicken me. Maybe I'll give him Zelda. Give my little brother Zelda, keep him busy. Okay.
Speaking of Zelda.
Yeah, speaking of Zelda, the next thing, Legends of Zelda, blank, coming for Wii U in 2015.
I want to talk about this so badly.
Okay.
I've been waiting.
You go, because I don't know anything about Zelda. You and MT, no, you can rock this. Maybe Takuma. I don't know if you
All
played
right.
any of them.
Let's do it.
Takuma, do you play Zelda? I'll
Maybe.
take that as a no. So, just The Legend of Zelda, been really hyped up because it's for the Wii U. Supposed to be, really big, bombastic. You can use the tablet to like switch between weapons or that kind of thing. They showed off evidence that they're working on it, basically. They showed off like this thing like, hey, just in case you're wondering, we are working on a new Zelda. Kind of a common theme with certain other franchises that we'll get to later.
Yep.
The big thing about this Zelda is that they're really kicking off the open world thing. Like it's been something that people have tried to, a lot of fans have kind of complained about for a while. Zelda's been kind of locked into going from dungeon to dungeon to dungeon in the story format because the story led you to certain dungeons in certain orders. And they tried to shake it up a bit. Link Between Worlds shook it up, and I think I was the last one to do so.
Yeah.
The sense of exploration was kind of diminished in the Zelda world, especially in like Skyward Sword.
Yeah, Skyward
there
Sword
was 3 zones.
the worst at that in years.
Exploration.
Yeah, there's 3 zones basically, and it was not. It was still a good game, but it was not explorative heavy. And now they're going back. We're like, this is a realistic open world. You can go to any dungeon, any order, any direction. They're pushing it. They're like, you can go all those mountains over there. You can could go as far as you like. The big thing is the art style. Now, Nintendo, eager to repeat history, released a tech demo for a new console with a very mature, very not realistic per se, but like a very nice looking Zelda tech demo. And it looked great and it felt great. And we're like, man, I'm so pumped to see this. And then they released the new Zelda and it's cel shaded. And it's 2004 all over again.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the thing for me is that it's going for a much bigger world, and I'm not a huge fan of the art style myself, but if they have to do cel shaded to get the open world in place, I'm all for it. I would much rather have a cel shaded open world game than a hyper realistic Skyward Sword.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but I believe the Wii U can handle it. I think like with the Wii, they made Skyward Sword the style it was because it had a very specific limitation, and I understood that, and I got that. But the Wii U should be able to do much more than that. Like even something on the side. Like personally, I thought Twilight Princess was pretty big when I played it. It was a while ago. I thought it was pretty big, and that was GameCube. GameCube era.
The thing with Twilight Princess is that the areas are sectioned off evenly. It's kind of like Metroid Prime in that there's several big areas, but there's always some sort of place for the game to load up the new area. This one looks like it's much more open world, and that gives it a lot less time to create, to find loading periods in essence. So it has to render the entire region you're in, as opposed to being able to split up something into just say Hyrule Field or Kakariko Village or Death Mountain or something like that. It's got to render
Hyrule Hill, Kakariko Village, Death Mountain.
I mean, I guess I feel like something like what's something I played recently. I'm pretty sure the amount of hardware on the Wii U is just a bit higher than my current gaming laptop. It's just a bit more extended. This laptop can run Skyrim pretty fine. Now, Skyrim has a lot more going for it than I think they'll ever put in a Zelda game. I would assume that with them, back then, GameCube games are like, what, 2 gigs? Because I torrent them all the time. So they're like 2 gigs. Wii games are like 7 gigs. I believe Wii U games are like, what, 30, 32, 30? Let me check them out.
I can't say I know the stats for that.
Let me see if I can get like a kind of, what's it, Mario Kart 8, right?
Yeah.
New game. In the meantime, it just seems like they would be able to fit in a lot more. Even with Twilight Princess, that's cool, but that's 2 gigs, and Wii games can go up to 7 gigs. So even with the Wii, you could have something about, if you just had the same graphics, same engine, you could have something basically 4 times the size of a Zelda map. And with the next gen, this should be even larger than that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not entirely sure what all goes into making all that stuff happen. Maybe they could have. I guess what disappointed me most about it is that tech demo came out, 2010, 11? 3 years
It was a
ago
while
at
ago.
least,
I think it was
maybe 4.
Yeah.
All they have is a CG trailer at this point.
That is pretty disappointing.
And I mean, granted, the game still has almost assuredly it's going to be a year and a half. It says 2015, but you can read that as Christmas 2015 as earliest, and
You know it.
possibly early 2016 if it gets delayed. But even so, that's like 3 years or so of development time, and we've got nothing to show for it but a CG trailer, and it's cel shaded on top of that.
Yep.
Right, and that's the biggest thing. Wii discs are like 25 gigabytes in size, by the way. But yeah, that is something that kind of disappoints me. They said they've been working on it since they announced the Wii U. If you went up and the interviews came and said, yes, we are working on a new Mario, working on a new Zelda. They should have more to show than this. They really should. Yeah. I was hoping for a lot more. I really was hoping for something exactly like the tech demo. I don't mind cel shaded. I like that a lot. But the tech demo had it was a very stylized real. It wasn't really realism in the sense that it was dark and gritty and had all that kind of stuff. It had a very certain style and it stuck to it, but the style was really beautiful and I loved seeing it. And I'd like to go and see that in an actual game. And I don't feel that.
Lol. Kahi dropped.
Did we just lose Cocky?
Yes, we did. I was wondering what the deal with that awkward silence was.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Rip in
I
peace,
guess
Kahi.
I'll take over because we need to wrap up this pretty quickly. At least Zelda. We've gone on long enough about Zelda. Kind of disappointed that that's all it was. But what can you do?
People are speculating the person isn't even Link.
Yeah. Other than that, there was Splatoon at Nintendo. Splatoon, I forget what the name is.
I'm going
Basically
in order.
paintball shooter.
I'm wrapping this up. You don't do this. So,
No.
Bayonetta.
You got the order wrong anyway.
Bayonetta 2 is still a Wii U exclusive. Zelda and Samus Aran outfits, I think. Probably the closest we'll get to a Metroid game. Hyrule Warriors. Oh yeah, and it's packaged with the original Bayonetta, which is cool for those that want to jump in.
Yep.
Hyrule Warriors is a thing. Comes out on September 26th, 2014. Hey, Kai. In the interest of time, we are moving on, if that's okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So yeah, Hyrule Warriors, September 26th, 2014. That looks pretty interesting. And a sequel, no, not really a sequel, a new Kirby game. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse in 2015, and it almost looks like Kirby's made out of clay, and he's just rolling around in a ball, and you have to draw platforms on the gamepad to help him move along. It looked really weird, but hey, Kirby, that's a thing. This was a big one. Xenoblade Chronicles X coming in 2015.
Yeah.
That's a very big deal for a lot of people. I'm not going to lie, it looked pretty nice. 2 more announcements from the conference itself, both pretty big ones, I would say. First of all is Mario Maker, which turns out the rumor was true. No surprise, it looked pretty elaborate. Make your own custom 2D Mario levels, fairly self-explanatory. What's really cool about it is you can swap from old school NES sprites to modern Super Mario Bros. U sprites. So that is pretty awesome, if I do say so myself. And people are going to make a lot of cool levels with that feature. Probably be able to put them up for download. And then finally, last thing in the conference that we're going to talk about is Splatoon. And they went on for a crazy long amount of time about this game. And it's an 8-player, 4-on-4 online action game where you squirt paint on stuff and ink, and covering the ground with ink claims territory, and the team with the most territory at the end of the match wins. People can transform into squids and do all sorts of crazy stuff. I'll be honest, at first I was like, what the heck is this? And even by the end of it, it wasn't exactly gripping me. But I cannot say no to online multiplayer Wii U games like that. That is actually a pretty creative concept. I cannot say that's a bad thing, especially when it's a new franchise like that. So good job on that front, Nintendo. And that was Nintendo. If there's anything else people would like to say about the conference, now is the time.
Oh boy. Are we gonna get into
Still not buying
Yes.
Wii U.
Post conference details, yes, but the conference itself. What, Kuma? You're still not buying one?
No, I mean there's a lot of stuff that interests me a little, but there's nothing that interests me enough to buy a Wii U. At least not at this point. Maybe in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Not even Pac-Man for Smash Bros.
Nope.
It's kind of a joke.
Your face is a joke.
That Smash Bros. Invitational, man.
Oh. Oh,
The
ow.
shots that are being fired.
Jesus. This
No,
is
I
like
mean-
Detroit all over again.
Smash Bros is cool. I have the Wii. Not that I ever really use it much, but I mean,
You just can't handle the
I
hype.
just there's
hype
so much.
was
I've
too
got
much
such
for
a
you.
backlog of PC games to work through still.
No, you just can't handle the hype. Not enough hype.
Ned,
I can't handle
Okay,
your face.
So
Talk about
we grade
post-conference
this?
announcements. But yeah, grade the conference. I
Grade
would
this?
give it a... There weren't many heavy hitters announced at the conference, I'll be honest. Everything, like the biggest thing was Zelda, that was already announced. As far as new stuff, Kirby, Yoshi, Toad, Splatoon, it's all really not heavy hitting stuff. Some of the big franchises they could have brought back to make a splash weren't at the conference. Probably the biggest thing they announced wasn't in the conference. So based on that, I'll give them the same grade I gave Microsoft. No, actually, I'll give them a B- because I liked the humor so much and the conference style, even if the announcements didn't really, wow me.
I don't.
Minus.
I have. Well, okay. I guess I would dock Ubisoft points for Girlwood sucking. So I guess I have to give Nintendo some points for being funny.
I'll give like Ubisoft a D, maybe. Yeah.
I would fail Ubisoft, honestly. I thought they were awful. I guess for Nintendo, I'll go D+,
Wow.
maybe,
Critical.
with humor. I mean, I enjoyed a few things. I thought introducing the Mii and Platuna for Smash Bros. Was great. I thought Splatoon, I keep mispronouncing it, was a really good idea, and I hope they have more games like that in the future. I'm also glad that they're trying to get some internet together. That said, no gameplay at all for Zelda. Kirby and Yoshi is more platforms for a system that's already saturated with them, so that's not convincing anyone who hasn't bought a Wii U already to join on. No release date for Smash Bros. Nothing really new outside of that. Rumors of Star Fox, nothing shown at all.
no, it is
Captain
playable
Toad's
on the
Tracker.
floor.
Yeah, Captain Toad's Tracker is cool, but it's not enough to move systems, and Mario Maker is basically the same thing. So there isn't anything there that really excited me, honestly.
At least it's a reason for Wii U's not to collect dust.
Yeah, I guess. But that's like it's like NES remix levels of excitement. Oh well, so yeah, I'll go D plus. I thought it was a little worse than Microsoft's.
Yeah, like
Because at least
I just like the conference better than Microsoft's. The announcements didn't really
yeah.
surpass it, which is why I like graded it slightly better. Okay, what to talk about now? Are you gonna have to go?
Yeah, I was gonna slip out stealthily, but you're gonna send me off the grand farewell, so
Correct.
I'll say goodbye here.
We'll continue
Go to
discussing.
bed, get up early tomorrow. Work.
Excellent. And then he leaves. Okay.
Oh, I'm so devastated. Jesus Christ.
MT going out with a whimper instead of a bang, everybody.
Now I have to complain about someone else's face. Where's LJ?
I think he's still.
He has a very complainable face. I don't blame you.
I wear a mask. You can't
why I
see
don't
my
blame you.
face.
Okay.
That's what-
Now that
I'd wear a mask if I had your face.
You know who else? Wears a mask. Anyway.
wait 1 second. Then I'll transition. us.
Okay. Can I? I thought I wanted the great Nintendo.
You still
Good
can.
grief.
You still can. Just wait a second. I need a clearly defined editing point for what I may be about to pull.
A muscle?
Okay. Now, Kai, go ahead and grade Nintendo. How'd you think they did?
Nintendo was I enjoyed their presentation the most out of any other press conference this year.
Yeah.
They had a lot of great the humor I legitimately enjoyed. There's some humor that you see and you're like, oh, well, that wasn't too bad. And there's some that's actually really good. And I liked that they had Robot Chicken come. And I liked that they did this self-referential thing. Mother 3, just in case, that wasn't being burned to the ground yet. I was really hoping for a return to form for Nintendo, though. I really wanted them to pull out all the stops because they needed to. This was the year. I felt like this was the last stop for them. The Wii U was kind of failing. They just hit a bump of great luck with Mario Kart. Everybody knows Smash Bros. Is going to be out in December. This is the time to announce all of the really great stuff for 2015. Because if people know, like, all right, Mario Kart's out, Smash Bros. Is going to be out, and we have the new Zelda, new Metroid, and, the new Star Fox, and all of a sudden to look forward to. Now is the time to buy a Wii U. I think they could have rode that and completely made it. And they didn't. They instead chose to play it really safe, honestly, with Captain Toad and the Yoshi, and they didn't give enough screen time to something that would. I mean, Zelda has been worked on for I don't know how many years at this point. We know that they were building a Zelda since 2011, since they announced the Wii U after Skyward Sword came out. It shouldn't have taken them this long to just create a glorified cutscene. And the direction is going back and forth with that. But Smash Brothers, this is all Smash Brothers going for them. So who knows? Maybe Smash Brothers will help the Wii U sales boost up a bit. Maybe next year they can come out and say we're going to do Earthbound, Earthbound HD for the 3DS, or the new Metroid game, or new Star Fox. Whatever great franchises they have, I would see a good return to form for them.
they need to take risks, playing it safe with like three games in the Mario universe. It's not gonna move constantly.
Playing it safe. Like if there was any time for Nintendo to start taking risks, now's the time. Now, to be fair, I do believe they have started to take risks internally. I think they have internally, and they're like, all right, you can do it. It's just taking a while for those games to get off the ground. Game development does take a long time. I understand that, but this is marketing. You need to have stuff to show. Possibly next year, if they really decide, all right, we're pulling out all the stops. We need people to buy the Wii U. We're going to pull out all the stops and make next year like a torrent of first-party titles that everybody's really wanting to see.
Because I guarantee you, if they release, next year they're going to be like, all right, we have the new Zelda playable, and we're announcing the new Metroid, and we're announcing, you can play the new Star Fox, and here's, maybe have Treehouse do a port of, just a new Mother game, because Mother is one of those fan favorites that people get really excited about.
Yeah.
Or do something with Fire Emblem, or do something with, you know what I mean, something bigger, something more like something that hits from all angles and makes everybody kind of stand back, because if they did that this year they would have easily won E3 hands down.
Yeah, I will agree. I think I'll amend my prior score to like a C to match Microsoft, because I guess from me my perspective was the games they announced are interesting, they're not bad. However, I don't really think those were the games they needed to announce to sell the Wii U. It's stuff like this that would be good to do if the Wii U was selling well. To just say, okay, here's a bunch of games, and we're going to play it safe because we're doing good. It's not doing good, so that's not what they need to do. But I did like the conference. I did not, not enjoy it.
It is kind of unfortunate, because we will not be able to see anything up to this point. Nintendo does not have a habit of announcing games while they're just at the very beginning of being made, outside of like the Zelda, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So maybe not. I don't know. I feel like next year, if they've taken all of the stuff that's happened in the past 2 years and been like, crap, we need to get our deal back together. Next year could be a really great year for announcements, but it also could not be. They did finally, the Wii U pressure did allow them to release Earthbound for the US last year, which was a huge deal for Mother fans, because it's one of those things like, how Bionicle coming back is a big deal for LEGO fans? That's what Earthbound being released in the Virtual Console was for Earthbound fans. Like, we were like, oh man, Earthbound's gonna be released. Or like, everyone's like, nah, it's never gonna happen. Nintendo's never gonna make it happen. And they did, and that was huge. So, maybe the pressure is gonna force them to do something.
Perhaps.